Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of Man once again, and today is the second to last What Talk episode. Today we're going to be looking at episode number 8, The Eye of the World, which is the last episode of this season, and I will do one more video where I talk about the series as a whole, how I feel about it, what I think about it, and what I think could have been done better, because this episode specifically is really probably the worst episode in the series, and it kind of really sucks because everything about it feels like you're supposed to be awed by it, except none of it feels that way. None of it lands that way. At least to me, someone that has read some of the source material. My parents and my sister, who are my kind of like non-reader base, what's called like opinion, are like, they were pretty impressed with it. They thought it was pretty interesting. However, I definitely was not happy with the results, but let's get into it. So we start with a glimpse into the Age of Legends. We get to see Luz Theron Philemon talking with some female character called Latra, I think, who happens to be the Amerlin seat, and he happens to be the Dragon Reborn. Now here's the first kind of interesting thing. How is he the Dragon Reborn if he's the first dragon? That doesn't make sense to me. At least that's how I always understood it in the books. Luz Theron Telamon is the first dragon. He is the one that created the Legend of the Dragon by simply existing. And everyone that comes after him that has the power on his caliber is a Dragon Reborn. Rand is a Dragon Reborn of Luz Theron Telamon. But Luz Theron Telamon is just the dragon, right? So I don't understand why they called him the Dragon Reborn. I assume it was to minimize confusion, but it just makes it more confusing if you think about it. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird. I did like that he had this little like dragon tooth pin on his shirt. It was really cool. I like that a lot. I hope they sell those because I would love to buy one to put in my backpack. And that's basically it. He talks kind of poetically about how decisions are made in the room of a child or some shit. I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting. I also didn't think that it was that great. However, I did like the character, and I like that he wasn't picked to look like Rand. He looks like a very different person, which helps to cement this idea that reincarnation is not of the physical body and the soul, but rather just of the soul of the character, which hadn't really been explained all that well beforehand. So I like that. I thought that was good. And then we get to see Rand and Moiraine walking through the Blight. They have some like back and forth there, but none of it was really meaningful until much later on in the episode. We see everyone else at Fal Dara trying to, kind of figure out what to do. They're struggling. Egwene finally has some possible pretty human interaction here with her interest in Rand, where she basically tells Perrin, I love him. I don't want to lose him, kind of thing. And that was pretty good. Then we get to see that Lan is pretty messed up about the fact that he's not with Moiraine in what is Moraine's most important moments, where he would probably be necessary. And so Nynaeve goes up to help him, to kind of talk to him. And that's basically what we get there. Then Moiraine and Rand are again at the Blight. They finally decide to rest for a moment. And then we switch back to Nynaeve and Lan, who are trying to talk about the fact that they can't track them, which is an interesting change from the books here. Nynaeve says that she didn't track Lan, she actually tracked Moiraine. And that she can teach him how to do it if he wants. And then Lan questions why she doesn't want to come with him. And, Nynaeve doesn't really give an answer. And I don't think that there is one that is clear. I think what was happening here is that she was like, I'll let you do this because I need to take care of the other two Emond's Fielders that are here with me. And then we finally get some good romantic, proper romantic development between Lan and Nynaeve. They talk about something similar to the thing that Lan tells her in the books, where he's like, when he gives her the golden ring, or a ring, I can't remember exactly if it was golden or not, but, he tells her that she's a lioness, that she is a wonderful, glorious woman, and that he wants to be with her, but he has duties that he has to Moiraine, and he's gonna love her forever. He's gonna hate the man that loves her and love him if he makes her smile, which I thought was pretty romantic. It was about time to have him have some good dialogue there, so I like that. We come back to Rand and Moiraine, and Rand is having a dream sequence, which we finally get to see the Dark One without his weird, like, Voldemort scrotum mask, which is pretty good. He doesn't really look how I was anticipating he would look like. He kind of gave me like Lucifer vibes, if you guys have seen that show, but without having that very snarky, like, over-the-top personality that Lucifer has, but same kind of vibe, which I thought was pretty interesting. They're having this discussion about, does it matter if it's a dream or not? You're still here with me. We are still talking. And then they mentioned the Heron-marked blade, which I'm pretty sure is the first time that it has been mentioned. And I think is another kind of moment there where we could have had better interactions with the characters that were lost because they used time up in different rather useless things like Stepin and Karine. So they mentioned the Heron-marked blade, and he's like, oh, where'd you get it? And then it's like, oh, my father gave it to me. And then it's like, oh, you think he's your father, blah, blah, blah. Basically, the Heron-marked blade is used as a prop to bring up a dialogue that kind of cements that Rand isn't Tam's son, and it's basically ignored. I really would have liked to see Rand practice with Lan with the sword. I think that would have been really good. Sucks that we didn't get it, but we had to have Stepin and Karine, so I guess. Eventually, Rand killed himself in the dream. Thank God it was a dream, because otherwise he would have just killed himself unnecessarily. And then the sequence starts over, but this time it's real life. And, he asks Moiraine if she has a plan. Eventually, she pulls out this little sangreal, which is the little man that she carries with her. She gives it to him, and she's like, this is a sangreal. It's going to multiply your power by 100 times. Use it when the time is right. And then Rand has this kind of realization that, Egwene was supposed to be a dragon. That Moiraine thought Egwene was the dragon. And then he says that he thought so too, and I don't understand why. There's nothing about Egwene that makes her special compared to anyone else in the five in the group. If anyone would be the dragon and the most important character, it would be Nynaeve. She's super powerful. She's really meaningful. She's very stubborn, very strong. Out of all five of them, she would have been the better dragon out of the five in the TV show. But the whole point of the dragon is that he's a reluctant hero that gets corrupted by the power around him, right? So Randy's the one that is supposed to be the dragon. So I don't see why they had to even say that. It feels like unnecessary dialogue that doesn't add any relevance to anything. So I don't know why they said that, but eventually, there you go. Moiraine decides to not teach him how to channel, which I think was dumb, but okay. And then, Nynaeve and Egwene are listening to the wind, and Egwene realizes that, danger is coming to Faldera, and that's basically it. Rand and Moiraine are talking again. There's no channeling, there's no plan, and there's just a bunch of exposition of Moraine's character. Basically, she got beat to shit by some old lady in the tower and eventually learned to use the one power because she was going to die otherwise. Great stuff, Moiraine. Thank you so much for telling us that the Aes Sedai are abusive. That also didn't feel like it was meaningful at all. Eventually, we get another scene shift, and Perrin, Egwene, Nynaeve go to Min to talk to her, and they ask her, what's going on. Eventually, the attack starts, and it's a huge issue. There's Dark Friends inside, and they have to stop the Trollocs from passing Tarwin's Gate, or Tarwin's Gap, sorry, even though they know that they're going to anyways. So they basically just go suicide themselves with extra steps. And Angomar gives Yakuto and Uno a secret order, and that's all that happens there for a while. Then we're finally at the Eye of the World. It looks like some ancient, like, Maya rainforesty kind of temple, which I think is cool, but I'm pretty sure the Eye of the World was supposed to be this like haven within the Blight, right? And there was supposed to be a giant pool of Sidene, that was glowing white, and it was really beautiful, and it was like this perfect place. And the Green Man was there, but none of those things happened. It's just kind of like a rundown tropical temple. Okay. There's this subtle moment of character development right there, right before they enter the Eye of the World, where Rand tells Moiraine that she should stay, that he'll go by himself and defeat the Dark One. And Moiraine doesn't listen to him. She just kind of looks at him like she's accepted her fate and continues on downward. Good moment there. But basically, it's not Moiraine accepting she's going to die. It's Moiraine accepting that she'll probably have to kill Rand. So that kind of sucks. And then back to Angomar, and he's somewhat redeeming himself in this little moment here, because the first time that we see Angomar, we get a bunch of exposition about Faldara by having him act like a dumbass buffoon who doesn't understand that Moiraine isn't there to, do whatever it is that he thinks she's there to do. So he manages to redeem himself a little bit by, sacrificing himself, although it was a dumb sacrifice. He could have really done this much better. And they mention, what's it called? Targon Gaimon or whatever, the last battle. And apparently every battle is the last battle, because I'm pretty sure they've talked about the last battle in the last 4 episodes. So, okay. And then Rand and Moiraine are in the rundown temple. And Rand can't remember things correctly. He knows that there's stuff that he's missing, and we don't see the eye. We see like this like Maya calendar looking thing with a yin yang in the middle that is supposed to be the Eye of the World, but nothing about it looks like the Eye of the World as described in the books, which I'm pretty sure is kind of lame. We get to see these like Force Ghost type visions of the past, which I thought were pretty interesting. However, they didn't serve much of a purpose. Again, we get to look at this Aztec calendar looking yin yang symbol, and then he gets a new vision, which is Rand and the life that he wishes he had. And it's basically the Dark One manipulating his mind to show him what he wants to see. Apparently Rand has fallen asleep, and Moiraine tries to stand up to the Dark One, but she gets bitch slapped so hard. She gets gentled immediately, and the funny thing is that, Moiraine has to do these huge sweeping, crazy motions in order to properly visualize the One Power. And we get to see that she draws the One Power from the whole world, whereas the Dark One draws the One Power in such minuscule actions. He just like twitches his fingers. He has this little like Doctor Strange ring on his finger. He twitches his fingers a little bit. We get to see this little like Jacob's ladder type of electricity zap around his fingers, and then he does something, and he controls the One Power so easily compared to Moiraine. And he basically gentles her. That, as far as I understand it, that's what happened. He gentled her, or he shielded her so hard that she can't touch the One Power, which is basically the same as gentling as far as I understand it. So that sucks. But it's pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie. And then we finally get to the Shienaran army, the people of Faldara, charging towards Tarwin's Gap, where we get to see that there's basically just 20 of them. So I don't know how this is a great army, and how they've managed to stop the Blight at every turn if they're such a small army. And Min gets sent away. I think she has a message for the Amyrlin seat. And all of the women of the city are protecting the city. All of the men have gone off to Tarwin's Gap to delay the inevitable, basically, although that's a stupid loss of life. They're trying to do some sort of like King Aemon, Manetheren type final stand, and all it did was basically waste lives unnecessarily. So thank you, Angomar, I guess. I don't know. Angomar's whole thing was basically be as dumb as you can while trying to look like a cool heroic Asian guy. It doesn't work. I did not like any of that at all. Angomar's sister asked for all of the women that can channel to come to her because they're gonna do something. So cool. Uno manages to get the horn out of where it's supposed to be, underneath the seat or whatever. And then we get to see Angomar fighting off some Trollocs with a bow and arrow, or technically it's a crossbow. He's shooting them through Tarwin Scap's fortress. He's kind of sniping them, basically. But they're basically overrunning everything. Again, it's a dumb thing. And then Angomar's sister manages to link together all 5 women that showed up, which is her, Lan's adoptive mom, some old lady, and then Nynaeve and Egwene. And we understand that this lady has extensive training, but not enough power to be an Aes Sedai. So she's good at controlling the weaves, but she's not good at developing her own power. So she links up with all of these other women. What happens is that she gathers power, and we see the distinct amount of power that everyone puts in. The 2 ladies that are from Shinar barely manage to give her any power at all. Nynaeve and Egwene give her so much power. And the way we can see this is the weaves that connect them are different brightnesses depending on how powerful. So the one that links Nynaeve to the lady is the strongest one, and the second strongest is Egwene to Nynaeve. And so Nynaeve and Egwene are basically super powered batteries, and they're providing all of this one power to this lady, but she's not actually able to control it because she does not have access to this kind of power regularly, right? So why is she able to use it now? I don't understand how that works. And just because you're really able at controlling, your tiny set amount of power doesn't mean that you're really good at controlling a large amount of power, right? It's like it would be like she's a capacitor, and you're pumping like way more energy than the capacitor can hold. Eventually the capacitor is going to explode, right? So that's exactly what happens. But before they do that, she manages to nuke some Trollocs. And here's why the whole thing with Fal Dara and Angomar and Tarwin Scap was dumb. This lady obliterates every Trolloc that shows up, which is over 20 million Trollocs, because there's over 60 Fades at the battle. If she managed to kill all of them, why in the world would Angomar, the king of Shinar, or the person in charge of Shinar, decide to sacrifice himself as his sister and the women around them can easily defeat all of these Trollocs? He basically killed himself for no reason. He basically killed all of the men of Fal Dara for no reason. And he basically doomed his own city to death for no reason. Why? Complete dumb bollocks that happen here. I even had to use British expressions because it's so stupid. Like, I don't understand why they did this. And the worst part is that there's basically 0 stakes, because we realized that this could have been fixed easily, but it wasn't, in order to build tension, which then gets erased because the 3 ladies die, Nynaeve dies, but Egwene lives and manages to heal Nynaeve. So then why did Nynaeve die in the first place? There was no point to any of those scenes. And there was no point to any of the Fal Daran sacrifice either. We also get to see that Perrin's just sitting around. He's not doing anything the whole time, which is insane. Why is he not doing anything? Can he not call some wolves? Can he not provide some backup to all of these people here? Like, come on, man. Perrin is being underutilized so much. He's such a better character than this. He deserves more. But he's like pouting and sad about the Way of the Leaf and how it doesn't do anything. It's like, bro, just pick up a sword or a knife or an axe and just go kill some Trollocs, bro. Like, you've already done this. Just do it again. Call down the wolves, right? There's wolves at Fal Dara. Just get them and go fight some Trollocs, man. Like, this last episode was pretty garbage, not gonna lie. Eventually, we're back to Rand's dream, and the Dark One is talking to him, and basically he talks about the One Power and basically makes out Rand to be a god, which is insane. What is the point of this? People that don't know the source material are not going to understand the difference between someone with a lot of One Power and someone that is able of doing what God can do. This is dumb. This is whack. It doesn't work either. Eventually, Moiraine is ready to kill Rand if necessary. If he decides to help the Dark One, she's just going to slit his throat. Tarwin Scap is overrun, and all of the stuff that I just talked about happens. And then the Dark One flexes his power, and he's like, here it is. This is what I can do for you. What you can do for yourself if you just join me. Very kind of Emperor from Star Wars, kind of. And eventually we get to see Padan Fain and some Myrddraals show up to take the Horn of Valir. Great. That story, that plot line, managed to be maintained from the Great Hunt. Okay. But all of the other stuff with Faldara is dumb. I don't like it. Then, what's it called? Rand learns to channel by faking out this idea that he's going to help the Dark One. The Dark One teaches him how to channel. And eventually he does that and pushes all of the power that he managed to channel into the Sangreal, which then turns into this Kamehameha ball, and just kind of like poofs in the Dark One's face, and that's all there is to it. And it's pretty lame. It was like dumb. I don't know. I just didn't like it. Let's see. Yeah, the ladies do the crazy one power nuke, and they're all burnt out. And then Egwene manages to get saved. Rand's contribution, which is saving the actual world from the Dark One, feels like a footnote in the episode. It doesn't feel like it meant anything. That's complete BS. That's exactly what should not have happened. You know what they make out to be the great thing that happened? These women sacrificing themselves unnecessarily, and all of Shinar dying because of dumb shit that the writers decided to do. It's Rand's attack on the Dark One was basically a very lame and very dumb Expectro Patronum. Like, it was so shit. It was so bad. It was disgustingly dumb and useless compared to anything that it could have been. In order to simplify the eye of the world, they made Rand's contribution to the battle against the Dark One feel insignificant compared to some dumb lady that decided to burn herself out trying to nuke some Trollocs. Like, that's so lame. That's so bad. Who decided that this was the right way to do this? Padan Fain takes the horn, and he has a bunch of exposition here where he talks about how 5 taverns and balance, and then we get to see Mat in some like Anakin Skywalker turn to the dark side type bullshit that was not that great. And here's the thing about the 5 tavern. I don't really care. At the end of the day, it makes no difference whether there's 3 of them or 5 of them. But the whole point of the book was that the 3 tavern moved everything around them. So it was not necessary for there to be more than 3 of them. Egwene and Nynaeve were intrinsically tied to these 3 boys, and so they were always going to be there in the final battle, and they were going to be there in all of the meaningful aspects of the story. It doesn't make them any different. So I'm okay with them being, all 5 of them being tavern. But this is like retroactively being like, yeah, any of them could have been the dragon. And it's useless. It's not necessary, but okay, I'll allow it because it's not as dumb as anything else that happened in this episode. Rand now knows what the madness is like and decides that he wants to live somewhere in the eye of the world, or the Blight, I guess. He doesn't really explain. He just says goodbye, Moraine, and dips. Then Lan arrives a little too late. Rand is gone, and Moraine cannot access the One Power. She basically ends the chapter crying. Perrin sees all of the death and destruction of the city, and Egwene accidentally heals Nynaeve, and is surprised by the ability to heal. Like, she hasn't seen Aes Sedai heal before, even though we clearly know that she has. So I don't understand that there. And then there's one final bit of exposition, which is that Queen Delar, the rock that can't be broken, has been broken, and so this is not the last battle, but rather the first battle. Yay, Moraine, you can deduce basic information. Well done. And then we get one final, what is essentially a post-credit scene, although it's before the credits, of the Sanshe, or the sea pirate people, show up, and they basically look like firebenders. And then they have the caged Aes Sedai ladies do some like hula dance in order to create a tsunami to affect the west coast of the continent. So yeah, the last little bit was awesome. I really liked the little hula dance to create the tsunami. And the beginning of the chapter or the episode was pretty good. Some of the aspects within the episode were fine. The way everything was structured felt really great. However, when you sit down and just think about it, none of it makes sense. Why would you, like, if you're a great warrior and you have respected and fought with Aes Sedai to protect the world from the Blight for thousands of years, as Angomar says, both in this episode and the first episode that he's in, why would you not think to use the Aes Sedai as warriors first? If they effectively can nuke Trollocs from a distance, why would you not take them to Tarwin's Gap, have them nuke the Trollocs, and then attack the Trollocs that are left over with the troops that you have at the at Tarwin's Gap's fortress? It made no sense. It was basically in order to create fake stakes that then were immediately reduced to nothing, and the whole series felt unnecessary because of the ending. Like, what is even the point of having powerful trained Aes Sedai if some random lady that barely has any power can destroy 20,000 or 20 million? I can't remember what number it was. I think it's 20,000 Trollocs with the help of two girls that are superpowered batteries. It's dumb. It was not well done. I did not like it. It made me really sad that this last episode was so weak in comparison to all the other ones. And the last 3 episodes were not that great. So this one being the worst really, really, really sucks. But I don't want to be as negative as so many other people on the internet have been. So we'll leave it at that. I have one last episode to film for this series. And then we're done with Wheel of Time series content until the next year when the next season comes out. So we'll see how that goes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.